and welcome to the Orient Outlook podcast, sponsored by Carol Langley Florist, with myself, Stephen Spelman. As always, I'm joined by my good friend, my South Stand chum, the bearded legende, the one and only, the daddy-o. It's Mr. Paul Levy.
Thank you very much indeed. Hello everyone, welcome back. This is episode number 333 as we power through the 300s now. I just want to say thanks to everyone who tuned into last week's show. This week we've got the last week's roundup, draw against Barnsley, which we're going to go through as well. We've got a special guest waiting for us on the phone to speak to us now about the season so far. So without further ado, let's crack on. And as always, we start with a word from our podcast sponsor.
Yeah, so the podcast is proudly sponsored by Carol Langley Florists. They're based in Chingford and have been serving the borough of Waltham Forest for more than the last 70 years, which is fantastic. And their team of florists are here for all your needs, whether that's a wedding, a funeral, bat mitzvah, bar mitzvah, anniversary, anything you need them for, they can do the job for you. And they offer all O's fans and staff 15% off, which could be a huge saving on any flowering cost that you have. So you can get in touch with the team. You can do that by giving them a phone call on 0208 529 4130, or you can go on their website. They can be found online at www.carollangley.co.uk, or they're on social media. You can find them on Instagram at Carol Langley Florists, on Twitter at Carol Langley E4, or you can find the guys on Facebook at Carol Langley Florist.
You can indeed. So, without further ado, we are joined very delighted by this. We've got Leyton Orient assistant manager Paul Terry joining us now. Paul, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Really appreciate you coming on. It's been a while since we've had you on, so let's get your thoughts. Let's start with yesterday. What were your thoughts on the Barnsley game yesterday?
Yeah, first of all, good evening, guys. Thanks for having me back on. Like you say, it has been a while, so it's nice to come back on and talk to you. I think the Barnsley game was a good game. I thought both teams were good. I thought we was very good in moments. Was unlucky not to win the game as well, but it shows how far we've come. You know, that we're a little bit disappointed with getting a draw against Barnsley.
And what about the season so far, Paul? Obviously 13 games in now, so just under a third of the season played. What are your thoughts on the season so far?
I think it's been a good start for us. Listen, we didn't get the results at the start of the season, but there was never no panic. We knew we had injuries, and that's not making excuses. But I thought the performances were good. We just wasn't getting the results, but we knew things would turn. We knew when we got players back and players up to speed that we could compete at this level. And I think since we've done that, I think we've shown that we're very capable now.
Was there any change in anything you were doing with the players? So obviously we knew we had a really first difficult 4 games, and we got 1 point from the first 4. Anything different or any learns since then that you've taken on and have affected the team?
No, there wasn't nothing different we was doing. We just had a few injuries. And again, I'm not making excuses. We had a few injuries. We was getting people up to speed. We had Joe Piggott come in late. Brandon Cooper ended up coming in as well, but we had to get them up to speed. Jordan Graham up to speed with match fitness, because they missed a lot of pre-season. So it was just a case of that. Obviously a change of formation which has occurred since the start of the season as well, but like I say, we just work hard. The lads put everything in. They work really hard Monday to Friday, and to be ready for a Saturday game.
What's been the biggest change that you've seen from playing League 2 versus League 1? Is it the tempo? Is there anything tactically that people are more astute in this league? Because League 2 now is looking like a really tough league. So just wondering, what your thoughts are.
No, I don't think there's much of a difference. I think it's just teams are more clinical in both boxes. You make a mistake and you get punished more at this level. Where last year, I feel like a lot of time we wasn't making a lot of mistakes, and when we did, we would get ourselves out of trouble. But the quality of player at this level is a lot better. And if you make a mistake, they do punish you, with either a goal or at least a shot on target where they're putting you under pressure. But it's, like I say, I think the level is definitely a step up. But I think we've got the players that can definitely compete at this level and are capable of playing at this level.
We didn't have much of a turnover in the summer, thankfully. We were able to retain all but sort of 3 key players that we had, or 3 or 4 key players that we wanted. I'm not going to ask you who you'd like to have retained, because I think there's some obvious answers there. But in terms of who we brought in, were you surprised by the quality and calibre of player that we've been able to attract in the likes of Sol Bryn and Ethan Galbraith and Brandon Coopers that you mentioned earlier?
No, not at all. Listen, we identify as staff, and along with Martin Lingas as well. You know what I mean? We go and identify the players that we think can come and fit, not just our style of play, but fit into our group. You know, it's very important that you bring the right character into the dressing room. So there's a lot of work and due diligence that goes into that. You know, it ain't just, we see a player, we think he's all right, we sign. You know, there's a lot of work that goes in from everyone behind the scenes. So we identify the best players that are out there. You know, can we get all of them? No, we can't, not all the time. But, you know, I think once these players sit and talk to the gaffer about how we're going to play and what he wants from them and where he sees them going and what we can do for them, they buy into it straight away, you know, and they want to come to us. You know, it's like, as much as we want them, they also want to come and play for Leyton Orient.
You mentioned Richie Wellens talking to the players. It's obviously what a great job he's doing. Obviously, at the moment, he's got a big squad. He's got lots of players you'd imagine really want first team football who maybe aren't even making the bench. How is he communicating with those players? Because he seems to be a great communicator. But how is Richie managing the squad depth now? Because he's got such a good squad under him. How is he managing that? And how are you helping him manage that?
Well, we just have to manage it as staff, you know. We have to be open and honest with the players. And if you've got the shirt, you've got to keep hold of it. And if you haven't got it, you've got to keep working hard and wait for your opportunity. And when you get it, prove to us that you deserve to keep the shirt. And if you deserve to keep it, you'll stay in the team. You know, but if you're off it a little bit and you're not on your game, there's a lot of players below you that want to come and take the shirt. So it's a little bit of both. If you've got the shirt now, you've got to keep hold of it and you've got to up your levels and you've got to keep your standards. And the ones below are trying to get in. They've also got to do the same thing. So we're asking the same of all of them, you know, but there's some that want the shirt and some that have got it. And there's a good rivalry competition for starting places. But it's also a really good group, and that they help each other along the way as well.
And you've got quite a few characters in the changing room as well. So I'm assuming the changing room or the dressing room, it kind of almost runs itself, that you don't get the kind of negativity that where someone feels they're not being given a chance. It kind of self-polices. Would I be fair in thinking that?
Yeah, definitely. Listen, we've got some really good experienced pros, Becks, Pats, you know, Jordan Graham, you know, Theo Archibald as well. You know, they don't let the standards drop, whether that's on the pitch, off the pitch. You know, they're driving each other every single day, and they know that they can't afford to let it. So if there is a little slight blip or anything like that in the chain or from one of the players, they're on it straight away. And it makes our job a lot easier, you know. But they know as well that we won't let that happen. So maybe that's they step in before we have to as well, which, like you say, is a great characteristic to have in your dressing room.
Yeah, certainly is. I mean, we were lucky to go into the dressing room before the Shrewsbury game, and we had the pleasure of meeting like Ed Turns, Max Sanders and Jayden Sweeney, who at that point weren't on the bench. And they weren't kind of downbeat, they were still very positive, and they were kind of really getting behind the team. So kind of echoes what you said there. Paul, let me ask you a question about, I guess, this season's expectations. I think quite a lot of O's fans have got different expectations of the season. Some think we might be able to go for the playoffs, some will be happy mid-table, some will be happy just to finish above the relegation zone. What are your aims and expectations for this season?
Well, I don't think we can put a ceiling on what we can do, you know what I mean? I think we just have to keep developing as a team, keep improving, keep wanting to be better. You know, I think if you put a marker on something, you know, and you seem like you're reaching that, then where do you go? You know what I mean? You keep moving it. So for us, it's just about go and be competitive in every game. Can we get better? Can we be better? Which I think we're proving we can be, you know, and let's see where this can take us, you know, but we won't get too high with the wins. We won't get too low with the losses, you know. We trust in what the gaffer's doing, you know, and the players trust in him. And we need everyone just to stay behind us with everything we do. There's going to be highs and lows throughout the season. We know that. We had that last season. You know, when we won the league, there was still highs and lows, but it's about trusting the process and just seeing where it can take us. The league starts taking a little bit of shape, I think, between now and 20 games as well. So you get a rough idea of where you potentially could be or anything, but we're not setting any real ceiling on where we can be. You know what I mean? If we're in League One next year, that's going to be fantastic, but also there's a chance that we could be near the top end of the league as well. So why put a marker on that? You know, let's just go and be the best we can be and see where it takes us.
Very interesting. One of the sort of lows of the season was obviously in the Lincoln game, where sadly we lost Derek Reynolds. So we send our condolences to his family, and unfortunately the EFL, as expected, is expected in my head anyway, they're making us replay the whole game in full. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, like you just said, I echo that. You know, our thoughts and everything go out to Derek's family for what happened that night. It wasn't nice to go through for anyone. You know what I mean? And with the game only having 10 minutes left, you know, I think there should be some integrity in the game. I think, you know, not only for Derek's family, but for the players as well. You know, the staff, everyone that was there. You know, it's not something that you want to really go through again. And just playing that game is going to bring up, you know, terrible thoughts and feelings of what happened before. You know, but we didn't want to play the game again. We thought there's 10 minutes to go. You know, with what had happened. And listen, that takes precedence over everything. You know, the result's irrelevant after what happened, but Lincoln wanted the game to be played. So they put their point to the EFL, we put ours, and they say we've got to play the whole game again, you know. So there's no right answer here, you know, really, because at the end of the day, someone lost their life, and that overshadows everything and takes precedence on everything, you know, puts life into perspective.
Yeah, it really does.
Certainly does. So in Richie's post-match, he mentioned we had a few injuries, Paul, in terms of Omar, Darren Prattley, Max, Ed Turns, Tom James. Can you give us an injury update and maybe share a bit of an update, I guess, on Adam Thompson and Dan Adjie as well?
Yeah, I mean, Tom James went ill on Friday morning, so they didn't train Friday. They should be back in the reckoning for Tuesday's game. Like, well, no, they was on the bench, but I think they'll be in the faults to be able to, if we needed them, they could start. Darren Prattley and Omar Beckles are very close as well. I don't know if Tuesday's going to be too soon for both of them, but definitely by the weekend, I think we could both see them back involved. So that's a big positive, you know, two big experienced characters and players for the team. Max Sanders, he's coming along nicely. We're hoping he's not going to be too much longer. We thought maybe 3 to 4 weeks. So I think we're 2 weeks into that now. So we just see how he keeps going and how he keeps progressing. He's a young lad, he's fit. So you hope that you know, speeds up his recovery. With Dan Adjie and Adam Thompson, that they're a little bit longer. You know, they're both getting there, but it's a longer process. And I think we're looking at maybe the end of the year before we see any of them return to first team action.
Thanks, Paul. We went out to social media, and we also went out to one of the forums to ask for you know, fan questions to come in. And for the first time, I think since we've been doing this in sort of this is our 10th season doing this, we didn't really get that many questions, which is a positive in a sense that everyone must be quite chilled and quite happy with how things are going. We did have a few questions come in, so don't worry, you're not quite off the hook just yet. Euroboy was one of them on social media who tweeted us and said, "I see we've received no yellow cards yesterday. Have you made a concerted effort to address discipline on the field and off the field in the dressing room? Because it's been a bit of a problem, hasn't it, for us with yellow cards being sort of dished out?"
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's definitely something we have addressed, you know, and first and foremost, as staff, we had to look at ourselves. Whether the yellow cards and red cards that we received as staff were right or wrong, it's something we've got to be better at. You know, we're setting standards for the lads, and we can't then be doing and be seen getting yellow and red cards on the touchline. You know, we've got to control our emotions. So first and foremost, we looked at ourselves, and we had a staff meeting, and it was like, right, we've got to now calm ourselves down on the touchline, and make sure that we're not receiving these yellow cards. I mean, we made it clear to the players as well that we won't be accepting the disciplined ones where they're, if they're mouthy to the ref or they're getting booked for dissent, things like that, then that's not acceptable. Players are going to make challenges and things, and you're going to get yellow cards. You can't stop that. But these are dissent ones that we, and I said that started with staff. So we looked at ourselves first, but then addressed the players as well. We've got to keep on top of it, but it starts with us on the sideline.
We've seen a few leaked kind of fines lists from Premier League clubs that somehow make their way onto social media. The one for Leyton Orient hasn't yet, but just in case it doesn't exist, let me ask the question: is there a fines list at Leyton Orient for the players?
There is a fines list. The players have got their own fines, which they go, and as staff as well, we've got our fines that we fine the players. So just little things. If they're late for meetings and things like that, then we will fine them. And like I said, if it's a dissent and things like that for bookings, then there'll be a further fine on top. But that goes for the staff as well. I'm not going to go into what the figures are, but. Okay. The gaffer has made it clear, definitely with the staff, that if we get booked for dissent or shouting and things like that now at the referee or the assistants, then there will be a financial fine for us as well.
I must confess, I did feel quite sorry for you and Richie. I think it was Wickham away where I think you were trying to talk to him, you got a booking or maybe even sent off, and you were like looking in disbelief, and then Richie was trying to talk to him, and then he got, I think, maybe a booking and sending off, and you were both just like, what's going on? Like Morecambe and Wise, mate. Watching like.
It was just a surreal moment, if I'm honest. Like, I asked a question to the referee, which was in a calm manner, just about how much time we played at the end. And the gaffer didn't say a word. He just walked over and basically got told, you can't approach me, which he hadn't, and you can't speak to me, which he hadn't. Put his arms behind his back and got a second yellow card. So, it's silly things really, but at the same time, like I say, we've got to set the standards. And although there's nothing we could have really done about them too, the gaffer tried to appeal his and didn't get off with it. I decided not to, just because, if we both got found that we weren't going to get off of them, it would have been 2 games each that we missed from the touchline.
Yeah, spot on. We had a few questions from one of our listeners called Ben1980. One jokey, 2 serious. It says, with Jordan Brown smashing every position being asked of him, is Jordan our emergency goalkeeper? I must say, Jordan Brown this season's been immense. What a player.
He's been first class, Jordan. Great attitude, good lad, wants to learn, wants to get better. As you say, he has played in a few positions, but the position he's playing at the minute that's his position. That's where he really wants to play. And I think he's gone and grabbed the ball by the horns as such and really took that position there and made it his own. So, like I said at the start, people that have got the shirt have got to keep it. And I think Jordan's, along with a lot of others, are making a big, big claim for keep starting every week.
We also went on to
the answer to the first one, he won't be going in goal though. I don't think he's that brave when a ball's smashed at him from 2 yards.
He's not going to do an Olivier Giroud on us then?
No, I don't think so. I think there'll be a few others that would. I don't know who, but I think we've got a few more crazy ones in the team that would go in front of him.
He also went on to say, in your opinion, is there any players exceeding expectations so far this season? I think we've all got our favourites so far, but in your kind of opinion, anyone exceeding your expectations?
No, I mean, I go back to early, we know what these players are capable of. We know the levels they can reach. So it's not the fact of, exceeding our expectations. They're actually living up to what we believe they can do. We've got very, very good players, not just in the starting 11, but in the squad. And we believe in all of them. And know that they're good enough for this level, whether it's the young ones like you mentioned earlier, Gal Brave, Jordan Brown, even Solbrin, but they're all good enough for their level. We know what they can do, so it's not exceeding expectations. They're just living up to what we know they can do.
With Super Cooper being pivotal, are we looking at extending his stay beyond January? There's a couple of loanees that we've got as well, so I guess that question might be a slightly broader one as well.
Yeah, I think with all the loanees, it's we initially bring them in and we hope that we keep them for the whole season. Brandon's come in, he's been very good, as of a lot of them. Like the loans and the players, but we knew all about his qualities. Like I said to you earlier, we've done our work, we've done our due diligence on him. We knew he'd complement the team and he'd bring something that, they've all got their own qualities. Brandon's got qualities that others haven't got, and others have got qualities that he hasn't got. So the blend really works well together. And we when we bring them in, like I say, we want them for the whole season. A lot of that's dependent on the parent club as well. Come January, if there's a break clause in it. So we just govern by that. But for now, let's just keep him in our team, keep him playing well, and let's worry about all the other stuff when we have to worry about it, if we have to worry about it.
Chris DT111 says, on a footballing note, if you could change one thing at Leyton Orient, what would it be?
What, on the field?
Yeah, on a footballing note, he said.
Yeah, right, okay. I just think to score more goals. I think if we can score more goals, kill teams off, be clinical. And I'm not just talking about the forwards, that's all of us, whether that's set plays. But we go a goal up, if we can get that second one, that third one, and just be clinical, that would be the one thing, really. We're getting in really good positions. We make a lot of chances. It's just now that final little bit that if we can really get that going as well, then, I think the goals will definitely come and the results will be there as well.
Couple of last questions here for you, Paul. Len Chin 1 said, do the yellow cards for staff and managers accumulate like they do for players?
Yeah, they do. There's a bit of a grey area though. I think it's 4 or 5. It might be 4, maybe 5 yellow cards, and then you would have to miss a game from the touchline.
Right.
Obviously, if you get 2 like the red card, then it's 2 yellows is a 1 game ban, and obviously, because we appealed the gaffers, he end up getting 2, so you get an extra game. But they do accumulate, but I don't know what number it goes to. Again, it's a grey area, something that the EFL really probably need to highlight more and make sure everyone knows the rules, but that doesn't seem to happen.
So that was it for our listener questions, Paul. I guess our last question for you, not so much a question, but just, I guess, to finalise the interview. What's your message to those fans listening tonight? So we're 13th in League One. I think we've all been impressed with the performances and the signings we've seen this season. But what's your message to any Orient fan listening to this podcast?
I think it's the same, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, you know what I mean? But stick with us, stay. You can see that it's there on the pitch, you know what I mean? But like I said, there will be times when there's ups, there'll be downs, but we need you to stay with us. I think it shows by the attendances we're getting at home and the fans we're taking away. They've been superb again this season. And especially, I've got to say, a special mention to whoever's bringing that drum in now, because that is the best thing that we've had. Away games, it's been noticeable. Peterborough, especially when I first noticed it, Carlisle away, and then for the first time at home Saturday, that makes a big difference for the noise level. So just stick with us, keep pushing us on, keep driving us, stay behind the players. They're giving everything they've got, and sometimes we just need that little bit of help from the fans as well. So, like I say, we've had it so far. Let's just make sure we maintain that from fans, players, staff, everyone. Let's all go in the right direction and in the same direction.
Brilliant. Thank you, Paul. Really appreciate that. That's really great to hear, and always appreciate your honesty and transparency with us. And, I think we're very lucky at our club to have, right from the top, the board of directors, the owners, yourself and Richie, on the staff, and Matt Howard that's been on before as well, to have the honest and frankness. And we do, as fans, really appreciate the insight that you're able to give us. We're probably quite spoiled. We speak to podcasters at other clubs that don't get the level of engagement that we get. So really grateful to you.
I got one more thing, Paul. We've asked this to Richie Wellens and we asked it to Paul Smith, and it's a bit of a trend now that we do. I'm going to ask you your dream menu, right? So you get a dream menu of any starter, any main, and any dessert. Now, Richie Wellens and Paul Smith, if I remember rightly, had the same main course.
Steak.
Yeah. So what?
Yeah, but the gaffer would have had his steak well done, which Matt Harold goes mad at him for. Saying you can't eat a steak well done. You won't get the flavours and everything. So Matt goes mad at him.
What about you, Paul?
You want one of each, or?
Yeah. What would your dream starter be?
Well, I quite like burrata to start. Burrata and tomatoes as a starter. That would be my dream. For a main, I'm quite simple, really. I would like a nice fish or maybe a steak as well. I'm not too fussy, really. I'm quite simple, keep it straightforward. And then for dessert, sticky toffee pudding and ice cream.
Oh, good shout.
Nicely done.
That is a good shout, yeah. That is a nice menu.
Probably a few chips on the side as well somewhere.
You don't need to watch what you eat because you're not playing.
I do. Matt's on us every day, so we're trying to keep as slim as him, but it's hard.
Yeah, he's quite slim, isn't he? Well, that is genuinely it, Paul. Thanks very much, mate. We'll let you go and enjoy the rest of your Sunday night. All the best for Northampton on Tuesday. Another tricky test. So we wish you every success, and also Burton. There's no easy game in this league. So yeah, all the best to you, and thanks for your time.
No, cheers, guys. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
All the best, Paul. Cheers, pal. Bye now.
Take care. Cheers, guys.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.
So that was O's assistant manager, Paul Terry. Always great on this podcast. Second time he's been on. I think he speaks really well. And you can see why he works so well alongside Richie Wellens and Matt Harold, I think. So thanks to Paul, thanks to the club for sorting that out. Always a pleasure to bring you these interviews with club staff and club players. So supporters club updates in 2 trips to tell you about. First up, we are going to Northampton Town on Tuesday the 24th of October. If you want to go via the supporters club, they leave the club coaches at 3 p.m, cost adults £28, £25 for concessions, and kids aged 15 or under can travel for £14. And then that's followed up on Saturday the 28th of October as we travel to Burton Albion. 3 p.m. kick off this one, so coaches depart at 9 a.m. Cost this one £33 for adults, £30 for concessions, and kids 15 or under for £17. Please remember, these prices do not include your match day ticket. Normally, you can go in the supports club pre or post match to book. Obviously, there's no home games now before these games. So if you want to book for any of these trips, you're going to have to call the travel line on 07507 539 579. And I must say well done to the supports club for all their great work so far this season.
Amen to that. So let's move on then to the last 7 days, as it were, at Leyton Orient Football Club. Happy Monday, 16th of October. As we mentioned earlier in our Paul Terry interview, the EFL finally announced that our home game against Lincoln that was abandoned in the 83rd minute will have to be replayed in full. The EFL said, having considered all relevant factors relating to the decision taken by the match officials and club stadium staff on the night, alongside the options available to them in accordance with the regulations, the board felt the most reasonable course of action was to reschedule the fixture in full.
My heart sank a little bit when I saw
great.
that. Like, obviously, being there on the actual night was really difficult for everyone. And I don't even know if I want to go to the next. I've got to be honest, I don't think I'm even going to go to the Lincoln City replay. I know it's a completely different game, but I think it's just going to be too difficult for it. So I know Mark Devlin has tweeted, someone asked him about a provisional date, and I think he said Tuesday the 21st of November is provisionally the date being looked at, but we haven't, it's not confirmed yet, but that is provisionally what they're looking at. But as it stands, a Tuesday night in the cold, that game was only, 3 weeks ago? It feels very soon to be replaying that. I think, I can only speak for what I feel personally, I don't think I would go to that game, just because it's too raw. And obviously in the South, we weren't that near to it, but it feels too raw for me. I'm disappointed by the EFL's decision. I know they had a tough decision to make, and I know we can say they should use their common sense, but you've got one club saying, we don't want to replay it, but that club is obviously the team who were winning the football match. If you're looking at it from that perspective, the team who were losing that football match go, actually,
full replay.
We want a full replay on it. So, I don't think they've made the right choice, but they've been put in a really awkward position to do so. But I felt, my heart just sank when I saw that.
Yeah, I agree. They were always, I think, they're always going to make that decision. I don't think it's the right one. And but what can you do? A couple of good suggestions that I saw on social media about playing the final 10 minutes or so at the end of the game at Lincoln, so the players go off and then come back on a few minutes later, so it's like a fresh start. The problem now is that they don't have the same manager now.
Well, that's what
because they sacked their manager, who's now gone. Obviously, they can't play it beyond January because of the transfer window. They get new players in. It's not that original.
Well,
if they have players out that can now come back, it's just not the same.
Well, that's what Wellens alluded to in his post-match to Barnsley. He was like, we couldn't play Ethan Galbraith because he's suspended. Ethan Galbraith is now available for all intents and purposes in the Lincoln game. Yeah, new management, new set of players, new format. Like it's a standalone game now.
Yeah.
You know, I think if that game was 1-1, I think Lincoln go actually.
Let's just call it a draw.
And then we're sitting here going, both teams have got a point. As the match was being played out to that effect, everyone's happy. But obviously,
I think Lincoln will always Lincoln played that very well. They said nothing publicly, privately to the EFL. They're saying, yeah, of course we want to play that. There is another precedent where the Sweden game last week, due to the atrocities that happened there in Belgium, they said actually because there was, and I guess it's different. Because there were. One of them couldn't qualify, one of them had already qualified, the result would have made no difference on the standings in the league. Yeah. And I think that's the difference. The integrity part relates to the fact that, Lincoln are one place above us now. So it could make a huge difference come the end of the season. So, not great in my view, but is what it is.
It absolutely is. Tahué Tuesday, 17th of October. Always a happy day at Orient Outlet Podcast Towers as we wish happy birthday to two O's legends and podcasting legends as well, as we've interviewed them both in great episodes. So happy birthday to Matt Lockwood and super Kevin Lisby. Happy birthday, gents.
Yeah, his boys, if anyone's wants to see how well his boys are doing, they got knocked back from quite a few academies, and then one's with Brentford and one's at Cray Valley Paper Mill, and they've just been drawn against Charlton in the first round proper of the FA Cup. So they're making quite a big deal about that. So the Lisby twins are doing very well, which I'm very pleased to see. And Kev's a very proud dad there. So let's move on then to Wednesday, the 18th of October. Happy 21st birthday to O's loanee, Ed Turns.
Nice one, Ed. Thursday, the 19th of October. The club announced that the O's would be in their white away kit for the forthcoming match on Saturday against Barnsley, as Barnsley's change strip wasn't available due to a recent fire. So instead, they'd be in their black shirt. So
yeah, their coach caught fire on the way home from a match last week before. So obviously all their kits have gone up, and I heard they've had kit trouble from some fans that were tweeting. Some Barnsley fans. So yeah, but also it helped, and I saw that with visually impaired people, that one team in black and one in white made it a much easier game easier way to identify. I don't know why that doesn't happen more often.
Come on, you whites.
Yeah, absolutely. Friday the 20th of October, the club confirmed that young O, Zach Obiero, had joined Chelmsford City on an initial 1-month loan deal. We wish him every success at Chelmsford City.
All the best there to Zach. Look forward to seeing how he gets on. So let's move on into Saturday, the 21st of October. The club in the morning confirmed that the FA Cup first round clash against Carlisle United will take place at 3 p.m. on Saturday, the 4th of November at Brisbane Road. So a date for your calendars there if it's not in there already.
Absolutely. Prices are out for that because they're not part of your season cards either. No youth team match that we saw yesterday. So let's move on to the Jamie McCart derby. Barnsley at home, as it is for everybody else. Before the game, as always, we run a Twitter poll to find out how you think we're going to get on in this. We had 339 votes for this, 22% of which thought we'd lose, 33% thought we'd draw, and a whopping 45% thought that we would win. So thanks to everyone who took a moment to cast their vote.
Fairly confident vote there from the O's fans. Like it.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're talking 78% don't think we're going to lose.
Yeah. I mean, I don't vote in our own Twitter polls because I don't want to curse them. But yeah, always interesting to see the way the results for that work out. So the team was announced at 2:00 with Bryn in goal, with Hunt, Cooper, Happy, and Brown, El Mazzuni, Galbraith, Graham, Archibald, Piggott and Satuyu making up the 11, and on the bench we had Howes, James, Sweeney, Turns, Moncur, Ford and Aaron Drynan.
Yeah, that's right. That starting lineup, saw Richie make one change as Jordan Graham came in for Ed Turns, who took his place on the bench with former Orient loanee Jamie McCart. He started for Barnsley, and for me, obviously surprised that Ed Turns isn't starting. Hope he's not picked up a knock, but obviously he made the bench, so he can't be that bad. I think it's going to be a tough game regardless. Barnsley were doing very well.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought it would be the same 11 going in to the Barnsley game, but like you, thought Turns must be carrying a lot. We're going to play Richie's interview after, where he kind of gives a bit of an explanation about Turns. I thought the same around Beckles and Pratley, but again, turns out they've got carrying injuries as well. Just shows you how kind of strong the squad is for places. And imagine when you get a fully fit squad, how difficult it's going to be for Richie. Lovely headache to have.
Your question was right. How's he managing?
Yeah.
Those that I'm getting in.
Sounds like he's managing it very well.
It seems that way, absolutely. Alpha2_O_Mega said, a strong attack-minded side.
Yeah, obviously with Graham in there as well. It did seem like that when it was announced. Paul Red Rum tweeted us and said, so we've gone to a flat back four. Seems a bit strange when 5 at the back has been working and Galbraith seems wasted at right back. This was obviously before we lined up. But I trust Richie and should release Archibald further forward unless he is at left back.
Len Chin Chin 1 said, a home match with Barnsley, third in the table, indicates they are a good side and will be difficult opponents. Can hope we play a coordinated attack line and a solid defence. Supporters will play a big part. Clinical game would be so important. Team selection looks promising. 3 points, please.
So there was a minute silence for Israel and Palestine as the match kicked off, and a sunny E10 as the O's had the hard task against them, against a very strong Barnsley team who was sitting in third place in League One and were unbeaten at this point away. I think when I watched highlights, they'd won their last 5 away league matches and kept 4 clean sheets in those, so weren't going to be any mugs. As it was also Orient's international fixture day, so lots of great content coming out from the club there. It's amazing how far and wide the Orient fan base goes.
Absolutely. With Tommy Mann over as well from New Zealand, it makes it even more. Yeah, absolutely. Fast forward to the 9th minute though through this game. Some nice passing and good movement from the O's. Saw a cross come into the box from Theo Archibald on our left. Joe Pigott got ahead of his man and his looping header went just wide. Good opportunity that.
Good work of the ball to spread it from right to left, and a lovely cross from Theo. Good header from Pigott there.
Yeah.
Keeper had it covered, but I thought it was a decent header. He'd done well to get ahead of his man now, I think. Pigott. 15th minute in, Sol Bryn made a decent save following a Barnsley corner. I think when we were in the ground, that like a superb save. Watching it back on the highlights, I thought it was a bit of a basic save, but comes out, corner came in. I think it's fair to say he flapped a bit at the corner. Should have done better for the initial corner. Cadden put the ball back in there. Bryn made a decent recovering save. It looked great in the stands. I think watching it back, he'd be disappointed had he not made that save, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's either got to catch the ball or he's just got to punch it away. Yeah. 25 minutes on the clock. Jordan Brown had his pocket picked by Cole. However, Rob Hunt made a superb tackle in the Barnsley attack. Ball came out eventually to Joe Pigott, who prodded the ball to Idris El Mazouni, who was away on the counter-attack. He drove forward. This is in the highlights, you'll see. Passing to Ruel. He kept running, got inside the box, got his shot off. That was blocked by Jamie McCart, but the referee judged that Jamie McCart had blocked with his arm, and we were awarded a penalty. Now, I think we are united in our thought process here, because I've watched that back at least 6 times just today. What do you think?
At the time, I was just happy to get a corner. Originally, when the tune was up, I thought he'd awarded a corner. I was like, decent. And then obviously, when it became clear that he'd awarded a penalty.
Yeah, you went to me. What, we got a penalty?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. It's rare you get them given. I mean, obviously, we don't have the benefit of all 500 different camera angles and VAR going. But I'm surprised that one got given. I think McCart's body is in a natural position. And I still can't see from the angle it's at whether it actually hits his hand or not. But look, I'm an Orient fan. I'm never going to moan when Orient get a penalty. It will even itself out during the season. There'll be more blatant penalties we don't get, and there'll be penalties like that that go against us in our own box. So
that's already been happening though, because there are times where we should have had penalties and haven't.
Yeah.
And then we get this one, so it's a bit of a balancing out, I think, of luck.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree with you.
With George Moncur not in the team, up stepped Joe Pigott. So decent. He stepped up, looked confident, and buried. I got to say, he did bury the penalty really confidently. Great take on it. Bottom left hand corner past Killip. 1-0 to the Mighty O's. Beautifully struck, and that view from behind the South Stand, right in front of us, is available on all our social media channels. If you want the Orient Outlook podcast, we're on that one. Beautifully struck.
Really good. The keeper did guess the right way in his split second late, so he was slightly fortunate in some regards that Killip didn't go a second quicker, because
he's a tall old keeper, Killip, and it just shows you how well that ball was placed. Yeah. If it was an inch more towards Killip's getting that, so very well placed penalty there from Killip.
Yeah, agree. Lots of passing and possession football from the O's, but we'll skip past that part of the half as 4 minutes of time were added on. In the second minute, a good counter-attack and a good delivery into the box from Joe Pigott found Theo Archibald, but O'Keefe did well to put Theo off his shot. I thought, bit of composure there from Theo. He volleys that first time rather than take the touch.
That's right. I can remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
And I think there's possibly at least working Killip, but yeah, I think O'Keefe did enough there to put him off.
I think you're right there. 2 minutes later, the half-time whistle went, and the first half was brought to a close with the O's 1-0 up.
8,642 was the ginormous attendance announced at this game. 1,248 fans travelled down from South Yorkshire, so decent, strong effort from them as well.
Yeah, as you'd expect. So there were no changes at half-time for the O's, and Barnsley got the second half underway and almost equalised early on. There's a long ball down the right from them, our left, caught out the O's defence. Ball was cut back to the oncoming Benson, who shot wide from close range. That was a good chance, a warning sign.
Agreed.
Very early warning sign in the second
Absolutely.
half.
They'd obviously been given a rocket at half-time, so Orient piled the pressure on, and in the 53rd minute, Theo Archibald was dangerous down our left, got a couple of good crosses in, but Barnsley defended them well. A minute later, though, Killip had to make a diving save to push Ethan Galbraith's 20-yard rocket strike out for a corner after more decent build-up play from the O's.
That was a nice effort there from Galbraith.
Yeah.
I think Killip had it covered, but it was decent pace on it, but you'd expect Killip to make the save there. A bit
Safe
too
for
close
the
to him.
cameras. Yeah.
Good save there, but again, lovely build-up play in the way that chance comes about. So let's skip forward into the 66th minute, and the first Orient change as Aaron Drynan came on. He replaced Joe Pigott.
67 minutes, a minute later, Barnsley equalised for a counter-attack as they worked out the ball out to Cole on the left. He found Herbie Kane on the edge of the box, and his shot went in off the underside of the crossbar, giving Solbryn no chance to make it 1-1. Now, we haven't gone into huge, massive amounts of detail about that, but that is a good goal for them. That's a move that started from defending our pressure initially. So they've done to us what we did to them in the first half. Their man had all the time and all the space down our right-hand side to pick out his teammate, who he found sort of more in the centre of the pitch, waiting for the ball. Without any pressure, they were able to play around us and through us and through the gears. And Kane's strike was superb. I think we could have done better to stop that at points. We could have done better to put the pressure on. But it was at a point now where we'd taken our foot off the gas a bit, I felt. But yeah, look, take nothing away. It was a good goal. No fault of Solbryn. Yeah,
it was a good goal. I guess you can argue we don't get out to Kane quick enough and we don't stop the counter attack quicker enough, but I think that's the quality that you face sometimes. Like Barnsley weren't really in the game much until then, I think it's fair to say. They were coming back into it, but I wasn't sitting there thinking they're going to score any minutes sooner. I wasn't kind of, dreading them coming forward every time.
Yeah.
It shows you the clinicalness, and again, I think we spoke about it, and Paul spoke about it, and kind of in the difference between League One and League Two.
Yeah.
That chance comes to a League Two midfielder, 9 times out of 10 they're probably skying it over the bar, whatever.
Yeah.
Again, when you're playing against good League One opposition, 9 times out of 10 they're burying that past the keeper. I mean, no chance for Bryn. Good finish.
But it's not like they worked Solbryn. Like Solbryn's had very little to do.
No,
Ben Killip's only had a fraction more than that, so it was a bit of a quiet game for both keepers.
Yeah, absolutely. It almost got worse for the O's a few minutes later in the 70th minute as Barnsley almost scored again, as it was Kane again, as he took a shot that took a wicked deflection after a pullback from McAtee. The ball hit Jordan Graham. He was on the floor. Bryn was kind of stranded in no man's land, and thankfully the ball rolled just wide of the far post. If you look at the highlights, they keep playing the same ball over the top. In between, I think it was Hunt and Happy. Mm-hmm. They'd obviously scouted that and gone, we think there's an opportunity there. Mm-hmm. Same ball, again, lucky to get away with that one.
Yeah, they seem to be exploiting that space down our left-hand side, so they've clearly seen something. You're right, I do agree with you. I think we had a player or two on the line recovering there, so I don't think that would have gone in. I think we'd have probably just been able to clear that out, but nonetheless, it's still an opportunity. 87 minutes on the clock, then Richie made a double substitution as Ruel Saturiu made way for Shaq Ford and Ethan Galbraith made way for George Moncur.
89th minute, Sam Cosgrove was booked for the visitors as he reacted very badly for his foul on Brandon Cooper.
Not sure that was a booking, to be honest. They've both gone up for the ball. Brandon's gone down. Maybe he got booked for his reaction. He got booked for basically telling the referee to go and do one. But I don't dispute that. But I don't think it was a foul in the first place. Again, that he's awarded it for. But that's not our problem. 6 minutes of time were added on in the first minute. The aforementioned Cosgrove picked up a second yellow for needlessly following through on Dan Happy after a free kick had been awarded to us and he was sent for an early shower. Ridiculous, utterly ridiculous.
Idiot.
From him.
Idiot, but I'm glad he plays for Barnsley and not
Correct.
Orient. Imagine,
Not for us.
imagine one of our players doing that. Would be livid on this podcast.
100%.
Be livid.
Would have told Paul Terry as well.
94th minute. So the O's had about 4 minutes to try and take advantage of having the man out extra. We've been close in the 94th minute as Shackford's header was saved by Killett. Again, Jordan Graham putting in some superb crosses into the box. That man can deliver a cross.
He can literally make space out of nothing and get something in. No further talking points. As the referee blew the final whistle, the points were to be shared between both sides on what was, I think, no arguments here. It was an entertaining game. I think both sides acquitted themselves very well, and the match finished 1-1.
It certainly did. As always, we're very happy to get Dave Victor's interviews after the match with Richie Wellens. We're only going to play a part of it, so here's what Richie had to say to Dave post-match.
Richie, thanks for joining us. You came so close to ending Barnsley's unbeaten run on the road.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good performance. I thought it was a good game, two good teams. I think that both teams found it difficult to get the ball back off each other, unless it was a mistake. The goal's disappointing, it's a worldy strike, but we know that their eights cheat. So when we're attacking, we know that they're slow to recover and it can be a threat if the ball turns over. And it's turned over to him. There's been a little ricochet in the middle of the pitch, but then it's a great reverse pass into him, good touch, nice step back, and then it's a great finish. So I think all in all, I think we deserve the 3 points. I think you only have to look at the feel at the end of the game. They're delighted with a point, and we're gutted with a point. So shows how far we've come. I think they're a good team. They'll be right in and amongst it. But tactically, athletic-wise, quality-wise, I thought we was better than at times.
The Barnsley manager, Neil Collins, is very disappointed with the penalty decision. How did you see it?
I've not seen it back. I thought it was harsh at the time, but I've not seen it back. So usually that was a bit of a shock when I thought he was good defending and it went for a goal kick. So maybe it was a bit harsh. I've not seen it back, so I won't comment. But we're probably due one. We've had probably 6 penalties, blatant penalties this year, and we've not had one. So it's Sod's law that you get one that you probably don't deserve. But I think we was knocking on the door. There was a lot of opportunities. I thought first half was excellent. They come out first 10 minutes of the second half and was very, very good. But I think after that we was dominant. The amount of crosses, the amount of penalty box entries that we got. We just have to move with the ball better. We have to shift better, and we have to get on the end of ricochets. We can't always get the first contact in when crosses are coming in, but it's important that you check and you react. You do counter runs so that you can get the second phase of play. There's too many balls bouncing in the box, and if we want to escalate ourselves and get to the top end of this division, then we need to score more goals.
So that was Richie Wellens there talking to Dave Victor. The full interview is available on the club's website and YouTube channel. So that point sees us drop down a few places, down to 13th in League One. We've now played 13, won 5, drawn 3, lost 5. So it's pretty much even Stevens really. Goal difference of -4 and 18 points. So Beard Legende, your views on yesterday's Barnsley's game?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that we'd have all taken a point before kick-off. I think 3 was probably not a reach, having watched the game and how that all unfolded. I thought we were dominant and commanding for large spells, particularly in the first half, and for a few spells in the second. Although, as I said earlier, I do think we took our foot off the gas a bit. That allowed them the upper hand. Maybe we were tweaked or changed. Maybe the substitute, maybe taking Piggott off. Maybe that had been something that altered how we wanted to play, and therefore it allowed them to get the ascendancy. I thought we took. They got in behind Hunt too often. And that's obviously how their goal came about, as we mentioned earlier. I thought the penalty was good luck for us. Still don't think it was a penalty, but again, not going to turn that down. Look, we've gone toe-to-toe with a top League One side. They were in the Championship last season. We've gone toe-to-toe with them, and I'm coming away feeling that we're the better side. No question or a doubt, and I don't think you'd laugh at me for saying that, although, once upon a time, you may well have done. Lots of good performances throughout the team. Special mention for Ethan Galbraith. I thought some of his touches were absolutely sublime. Brandon Cooper and Dan Happy, I thought they were solid in defence. Solbrim made a couple of good saves, but largely untroubled. I think we're seeing more from Joe Pigott. I think he come under a lot of criticism at the start of the season for certainly the first sort of 6 or 7 games where, like Paul said, that he joined late, so he was getting up to speed and he wasn't at that level that we needed him to be at. He was kind of thrown in the deep. I thought it was one of his best games, and I continue to see greatness from Rob Hunt as well. That tackle that he made to create our counter attack was superb. His reading of the game at times is fantastic. But like Paul said earlier, like we do need to be more clinical in both boxes. We need to be a little bit more finessed with our final passes or shots. And we got into some really good positions. You got Jordan Graham and Theo Archibald putting in some really dangerous crosses, and we're not making them count. And we've just got to do that moving forwards. But look, overall, we're sitting here now, as you've just said, 13th in League One after 13 games. We're averaging 1.5, just under 1.5 points a game, which would see us on sort of 65, 70 points come the end of the season. So overall, I'm very pleased.
Yeah, for good. Yeah, I thought it was a really good performance actually, especially first half, and it was an entertaining game. I think if you're a neutral fan there and you went, one of these teams is in third and one of these teams is mid-table, you wouldn't be able to tell who was who. I think, which is probably the biggest compliment you can give Orient. I think just need that final pass, not so much the strikers scoring, because I don't think they're getting the actual chance. It's just that final pass when they're in that position and you're like, right, make this pass count and we're in on goal. We just don't seem to be getting that quite right. I mean, if you get that right, I think we'll have quite a team. But look, Pigott only really had 2 chances. The first one was the looping header, which I thought he'd done well enough to get to, and the second was his penalty that I thought he took well. And like you said, he's playing a bit more of a different role. And I think Satuyu plays a slightly different role as well. Like instances yesterday where you would imagine him, a previous Satuyu, would have shot, where he carried it forward a bit more and seemed to be thinking a bit more about it, which is good. I think the defence looks strong. Obviously, we're going to get a lot of tweets raving about Cooper, as you'd expect, and Hunt's going to get a lot of tweets raving about him. Thought it looked good there. That midfield of Brown, Idris and Galbraith looks really strong. And when you think you've got Pratley, Sanders, who can't get a sniff at the moment, when you have those two available, it's going to be real good competition for places there. Bryn was a bit flappy, I thought, the crosses. If I'm being really critical, there's a few crosses that Bryn, I think, maybe could have done better. But other than that, looks fine, very self-assured at points. But like we said, you've got to be clinical in both boxes, right? That one time we weren't clinical at the back, we got punished for, even though it was a great goal. But look, really happy with that. I've got to say also, I thought the atmosphere in the South Stand was great yesterday, which is great to see, whether that's the drum or not, or whether it's the quality of the opposition coming and the higher profile club like Barnsley, who've been Premier League in the last 10 years and being a bit of a large club, whatever that was driving that atmosphere is fantastic in the South Stand. So all round, really happy.
Very good to hear that. So those were our views. We had a huge amount of feedback that came into our social media accounts. So thanks to everyone who took the time to message us. We'll read out as many as we can without duplicating message. And just because we're reading them, it doesn't mean that we necessarily agree with them. And Len M4 this week kicks us off. He says, shame not to win that after taking the lead, but showed yet again we are more than a match for the top teams in the division.
Would agree with that, Len. Tim OFFI94 said the Joe Pigott sub for Giant was baffling in the extreme. A worldie denies us all 3 points though. Can't get too down about that on the whole, but feels like we should be putting that game to bed. Barnsley though are a good side, to be fair.
Yeah, Dan Alton 2590 said sign of how far we've come, but we'll be very disappointed not to win that, and it's the same old story again in the second half. So many fantastic attacking options we found ourselves in, and the final pass or shot is always wrong. You'll pay for that against better sides. I think that's a fair comment as well. Like to your point earlier, we're making that extra pass rather than taking the shot, or we're taking an extra step across goal to maybe be more central to then choose a corner. Just fire, just shoot.
I mean, that'll come. I think when you look at, the players we've got up top, apart from Pigott, I think who's 29, and Graham, who I think is mid to late 20s. There are a bunch of youngsters really. Theo is early 20s. Roel is still early 20s. Galbraith is 22. Idris is early 20s. And Brown is early 20s as well. So that will come with experience, I'm hoping. Mr. _T 82 said another terrific game. Probably deserved to win that, and their goal was cracking, but should have killed it off earlier. Wasn't one of not taking our chances today, but not turning dangerous situations and good play into decent chances. I think he summed up very well actually.
Yeah, Painting Orient said some excellent press in the first half against one of the better sides in the division. Barnsley clearly grateful for the point. Cooper has to be one of the first names on the team sheet with yet another really strong performance.
Great tweet there. Miss Vigouroux said Barnsley came down to E10 as favourites. A point, even at home, I suppose is fine. But when you see their manager wasting time at the end, you can say it's 2 points lost. They go 1-0 up, hope for the best tactic, didn't pay off today, and there's a clear firepower problem to assess.
RP Bernstein said thought it was a high quality game between two good sides. Hardly any stoppages and the ball was in play a lot. Shame we couldn't hold on, but happy with the performance and the result.
Good point about the ball being in play. That didn't even occur to me. But yeah, good point. Well made. John W999 said a mark of progress that it feels like 2 points have been dropped. Just lacking that clinical edge in the final third, so we're not scoring the number of goals we could. Don't think their keeper had more than one tricky save to make for all of our great approach play. Always though at the risk of a worldie.
James Eastwood 83 said a great advertisement for League One football. We gave them all the space and time they needed to score their goal, which I doubt would have come otherwise. Hunt was class and got JB out of a mess, which then resulted in the penalty for the goal. Great team performance and onwards we go.
Samuel LOFC 97 said that was a pretty dominant performance. Just need that final pass to get right. Wellens got his spot on today. We're on Piggott to stop the supply into Russell in possession, as well as overloading the wide areas. Only a worldie has stopped us beating the league's top scorers, and we are a good team when we get going. I've got to say, a lot of astute and tactical outlookers over the weekend. Yeah.
Suddenly everyone's a manager. Dave Brew 47976911 said, first off, what a brilliant game of football. Two really committed teams. It's a shame we didn't nick it, but again, I did have 1-1 and Piggott to score. Well done, Dave. Cooper, easily man of the match, but lots of good performances all round. Well done, boys. Up the O's. I have to say, Brandon Cooper wasn't the first name on my man of the match list. I thought for me it would have been Ethan Galbraith.
I think we both thought Galbraith was in for a chance.
Not that Brandon doesn't deserve it by any stretch of your imagination, but it's just the point I'm trying to make is it's great how we all see things differently.
It certainly is. Lawton Gams had another excellent performance overall. We faced the top League One team in August. We got smashed today, however. Barnsley needed a screamer to take a point. Still not convinced we have quite enough goals in the team, but we're settling into the division nicely now.
Yeah, we certainly are. Parksy 1881 said Dan Adji would have been the difference. Another 20 points by the 1st of Jan, potentially. A couple of new faces in, and the dynamism of Ajay could spell exceeded expectations in E10. Sorry, muffled that one.
Luxury Opinion said, firstly, a really good game. 40 O's looked really decent in passages, playing some really good stuff, keeping Barnsley chances to a minimum. Barnsley's goal, though, was a rare chance and finished beautifully. A pity not to get 3 points, but no shame against a decent side.
Yeah, that's a new Twitter handle for me, so welcome to the show. Rich Den M said the better team for 70 minutes would have taken a point before the match, and a point seems like 2 points dropped now. Theo isn't the same player as the one we had on loan. Cooper and Galbraith, brilliant. Rich, I'd like to know more about what you think about Theo not being the same player.
Yeah, so
maybe he's just being asked to do a different role, so maybe sort of not as what you saw from an impact perspective.
Yeah, I thought Theo had a good game yesterday. Rich, yeah, give us a DM. That'd be an interesting one to discuss. Mark Roz 63689509 said we really are going the right way. We're so young and full of energy and improving week on week. Cooper has been outstanding since he's come in, and to carry on like this, and it could be another special year. Plus, you can't fault Ruel and Piggott for their efforts.
Yeah, Dovey Bear said, I have not been Piggott's biggest fan, but he was pretty good in the first half. When he ran out of puff at about 60 minutes and then went off, that's when we lost our focal point and our cutting edge seemed to disappear.
Good point there, yeah. The Untold Game says, it says a lot that we're a little disappointed with the point. If that's the yardstick, we don't have much to fear in the division. Ole Miss once again was a cut above, but shout out to Rob Hunt. Definitely worried when he lined up in the middle, but he was a rock.
C. Bennett 1983 said that was a good enjoyable game and we should be able to be in every game in this league now. I thought Hunt was excellent. He knows his limits going forward, so he just concentrated on excellent defence, much needed.
Charlie_Paul said Cooper was rightly named man of the match, but how good was Rob Hunt? Absolute class. His best game in an Orient shirt. We just need that final bit. Start making the correct decisions in the final third, and we are a really good team at this level. We are on the right track.
Penultimate word goes to Phil VZ1, who said, what a great game. We look very comfortable against a good team. The only criticism is that I can think of at least 3 breakaways, when we chose to pass rather than shoot. Great to see Graham in from the start and another good performance from Galbraith. bring on Tuesday night.
Phil, I saw your tweet about it being your first game of the season due to your ankle surgery. I hope you are feeling good. And the final word this week goes to Derby507, who said, like many other fans around me, I thought, though, that although disappointed, it shows how far we've come since the Portsmouth game. Barnsley will be there or thereabouts at the end of the season, and at times we ran them ragged.
So those were many views that we had come into our social media accounts. Do you agree or disagree with any of them that we've read out? Let us know. You can tweet us. We're at Orient Outlook. You can email us if you're not on socials. That's absolutely no problem. We're orientoutlook@outlook.com. We're on Instagram. We're orient_outlook_podcast. And you can search for us on Facebook, Orient Outlook Podcast.
You certainly can. So our prediction league update yesterday, lots and lots of correct predictions. We had a whole ton of people who correctly predicted 1-1. So we're not going to name you all individually, but well done to you for getting 3 points. But we did have quite a few who got the maximum 4 points, which was 1-1 and Piggott to score. So well done to the aforementioned Dave Bruford, 797691, who tweeted us a couple of times after the updated league table. Dan William H, Ryan at JD52, Derby 507, Steve Chaplin 4, Essex Biz, Big TB47 and Eastside Orient, all taking a maximum 4 points.
Yeah, so that means the top of the prediction league stands as follows. Ispurso sits pretty on top with 16 points. Behind Ispurso is Charlie_Paul and Dave Brew 47976911 on 13 points, and Eastside Orient is 2 behind them on 11. So thanks to everyone for your predictions, which is incidentally available for sponsorship.
It is, and the whole table, which is becoming very close now, very cluttered, which is always good because it means there's a lot of points being gifted to different players, is available on our Facebook page. So go and check out the Orient Outlook Podcast Facebook page to see where you are in the table. So that leads us nicely on to today, Sunday the 22nd of October, and the ladies were in FA Cup action in the third qualifying round, playing at home to Roxford at Brisbane Road. Got to say, bad start for the O's, 1-0 down after 2 minutes. Fell further behind in the first half, went in 3-0 down at half time. The visitors scored another 2 goals in the second half before Almeida scored a consolation goal in the 90th minute as the O's were beaten 5-1 as we exited the FA Cup. Unlucky to the ladies.
Yeah, indeed, unlucky there. So we're just over an hour, 1 hour and 1 minute. So let's get this one wrapped up for you now. Fantasy football update will start. That is back now. Brendan Pitcher is top of our podcast Fantasy Football League. He's amassed 613 points. He's just ahead of Dominic Beattie in second, who's on 603 points. Steve is now in 335th place out of 374 players. So let's move on. Let's not dwell on that. Let's go on to the positives and the negatives.
Alright, so 2 positives, 1 negative this week. First positive is the performance against Barnsley. I thought, especially first half, we played them out off the park. Brilliant passing, movement, press, fantastic. Second positive, I think we mentioned it, or Euroboy mentioned it in his question to Terry. First time I can remember in ages, no Orient player received the yellow card yesterday. Unbelievable.
Martin Strong, when was the last time an Orient game ended where no players or managers got booked? That would be one for you, please, mate. Only one negative that we picked up this week. Still, the injuries, obviously, as we went through with Paul at the top of this show. Injuries are obviously a little bit long. Nothing overwhelmingly serious. It looks like players will be back in the next couple of weeks, and Richie's going to have an even bigger headache to deal with.
I mean, Dan Adji will seem like a new signing when he's
January,
back, and Adam Thompson. Yeah, but other than that, those players who were missing hopefully be back soon. So, hero of the week, this one could have been a lot of nominees. As you know, we do our hero of the week on Twitter, maximum of 4 people. So we took this one to social and nominated Theo Archibald, Brandon Cooper, Ethan Galbraith, and Rob Hunt.
And the winner with 215 votes, with 75% of that vote was Brandon Cooper. So it was the sponsors' player of the match. It was also Rainbow's player of the match. And now it turns out, after 215 votes, that 75% of them thought it was as well. It's amazing.
Pretty safe to say Brandon Cooper is smashing life at Leyton Orient at the moment. So next week's fixtures in. Busy week for the O's. 2 tough away trips coming up. First up, we are going to Northampton Town on Tuesday the 24th of October. Northampton Town obviously came up with us last season. They're currently sitting in 19th in League 1. They lost 2-1 away at Bolton Wanderers on Saturday. Sam Hoskins is still scoring for fun. Need to be careful of him. But other than that, I think I'm quite optimistic going into this one.
I'd like to think so.
Well, it's been the last 2 years when we lost. Last year was a disaster at Northampton Town. It was that game we lost 1-0 where Happy got a really bad injury, and then Beckles got himself sent off. That was the game that changed the course of the January transfer window, if you remember.
I do, great memory.
So we've not had the best year or two at Northampton. Hopefully we're due one there. We're due one there. And then we go to Burton Albion. I believe this is the first time we've ever played Burton Albion. So Burton Albion away, Saturday the 28th of October. I think this is a new ground to go to. Burton Albion, who started the season off terribly, have had a bit of a renaissance. They've been awesome in the last couple of weeks. They beat Bristol Rovers 4-1 at home on Saturday, really comfortably, and sit 9th in League One as it stands. In their last 5, they've won 4 and drawn 1. That's going to be really... You look at that on paper and go, well, turn over Burton. You look at it now and go, that's a really difficult game.
Now. Really the last time we played Burton Albion was the 9th of March 1907. We won 1-0 at home.
I reckon that'll be a big, decent away crowd there. You know, the O's fans love to go to a new ground. If you go in, let us know how you get on. Yeah, we received a DM. I don't know if you saw it from
the guy who runs 2 pubs.
The guy who runs 2 pubs in Burton. I think he's been quite vocal on social. So if you're looking for a pub to go to, I think we could probably make a podcast recommendation for you if that's what you choose.
I've got it right here in front of me. It's The Last Hectic and Beeropolis. They're going to be open at 11 a.m. for you. The Last Heretic, is close to the station, and Beeropolis is en route from the town centre to the ground. Both pubs have got a good selection of lager, ales and cider. And he said, just a heads up, 99% of all pubs in Burton open at 12, other than the Spoons, or standard. We look forward to welcoming you O's to Burton for your first match against Burton Albion. And this is from a Twitter account called Micro Pub Heretic, Heretic. If you're interested, if you're going to Burton and if you're looking for somewhere cool to go, this sounds like the place for you.
Brilliant stuff there. So before we end this one, just the standard sponsorship reminder. So for any flowers that you need, get in touch with John and his fantastic team at Carol Langley Florists. Give them a call on 0208 529 4130. Get in contact with them on social media if you want to. Carol Langley E4 on Twitter, Instagram, Carol Langley Florist, and Carol Langley Florist on Facebook.
So that is it. Thank you very much for joining us for 333. We took a draw at home to League One side, which top League One side, which goes to show you how far we've come. As many O's fans feel we should and could have taken all 3 points against Barnsley on Saturday, but it's a big week coming up for us with 2 very difficult away fixtures for us. We should all feel confident based on our recent performances that we can get a result, and hopefully we'll be sat here next week at Orient Outlook Podcast Towers talking about 2 very good away wins.
That'll be very, very nice. So the standard call out for everyone. If you're listening on iTunes now, it's getting silly. iTunes reviews haven't moved in ages. Sitting on 104. I know that there's more than 104 listening every week on iTunes. So if you're one of those lazy people who are sitting there enjoying the podcast, not moving those fingers to 5 stars on iTunes, sort yourselves out. We would love an iTunes review. You can do the same on Spotify. And again, well over 104 now on Spotify. Rate the show. Literally, all you have to do is literally click 5 stars and save, and that is it. Your job is done for us. So please do that. You can also comment on the episodes if you choose to do so on Spotify, which is also fantastic. You can also give us a follow in any of your chosen podcast providers if they're not Spotify or iTunes. And we are also on all smart speakers. We are on the Fan Hub app. We are on YouTube. Anywhere you want to find us, you'll be able to listen to the podcast. Has never been easier. And if you've got an older relative, a loved one, an Orient chum, someone on the supporters club on the way to Northampton or Burton who's twiddling their thumbs, doesn't have a book, doesn't have any mates, doesn't have anyone next to them, get their phone and pass the pod for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It just leaves us to say thanks again to Paul Terry for joining us again this week. It's always a pleasure to have him on. We're going to be back with episode 334 next week with all the information, views that you could ever need, obviously, and the 2 matches that we've got coming up. We look forward to hearing from you, and as always, keep calm, please stay safe, have a great week, and listen to the Orient Outlook podcast.
Up the O's.